There comes a point in everybody's life where you just ask yourself, how the this happen? How did this happen? How did we get here?
I used to kind of despise Trump and how I ended up just seeing him for who he is.
This video has been seen across social media more than 10 million times, which tells me it's a good video for people on the right. So I'm going to tell you why it's silly.
Being just a flawed individual. And part of that had to do with the good people on both sides lie that was perpetuated by the media.
Honestly, I don't really know what to do with this because, yeah, there was a fact check on this, except for this fundamentally misunderstands what the fact check actually said. And he did condemn neo-Nazis, he did condemn white nationalists, but that doesn't mean there were very fine people on both sides. The problem wasn't that he was refusing to condemn neo-Nazis. The problem is that he didn't recognize that everybody there was a neo-Nazi. If you are walking with a group of people and they are chanting, "Jews will not replace us," carrying torches, all in matching outfits, if you're marching with that group, you're with that group. Sorry, that's the way that it works. I'd be like, I'm not part of this. I'm not part of this. Nope, 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 nope. So if you continued that march with "Jews will not replace us" being chanted,
replace us! Jews will not replace us!
Yeah, you're not a very fine person. Who were the very fine people that were marching with the neo-Nazis? Just out of curiosity. And Snopes, the place that everybody's citing for this fact check, they said exactly what I just said. Technically, Donald Trump condemned neo-Nazis and also said very fine people, but he didn't call neo-Nazis very fine people. We were just saying the whole time, they're all neo-Nazis. And Snopes even makes an editor's note about that, but you'll never see anybody in the red pill community address that. Here's the editor's note. Some readers have raised the objection that this fact check appears to assume Trump was correct in stating that there were very fine people on both sides of the Charlottesville incident. That is not the case. This fact check aimed to confirm what Trump actually said, not whether what he said was true or false. For the record, virtually every source that covered the Unite the Right debacle concluded that it was conceived of, led by, and attended by white supremacists, and that therefore Trump's characterization was wrong.
I realized that the media purposefully misframed what he was stating, and he was actually relatively clear as far as who he was talking about was good.
I agree. He was clear. On one side, you had people on the left, people who opposed fascism and people who opposed neo-Nazis. On the other side,
there were people in that rally, and I looked the night before. If you look, there were people protesting very quietly the taking down of the statue of Robert E. Lee.
Every one of them was a white nationalist. They were opposing tearing down a statue of a traitor to our country who was traitorous to our country because he wanted to keep owning slaves.
George Washington was a slave owner. Was George Washington a slave owner? So will George Washington now lose his status? Are we going to take down, excuse me, are we going to take down statues to George Washington? How about Thomas Jefferson? What do you think of Thomas Jefferson? You like him?
At least Thomas Jefferson and George Washington didn't try to overthrow our country. Robert E. Lee went to war with us. So anybody who wants to keep that statue up for culture and for history, you're talking about the history of slavery and the culture of white nationalism. There's no fine people on that side.
The media can lie to me about this for years upon years.
Which, of course, didn't happen.
Claiming that he said something that he clearly didn't say. And if you just extended that footage about 30 seconds or so, you would see it. Then what else are they lying to me about?
But the mainstream media wasn't lying to you. Right-wing media was. Donald Trump was. When they framed the question as us saying that Donald Trump said white nationalists are very fine people, that's not what we said. We just want to know which of the white nationalists you said were very fine people. We recognize that the ones in the hoods and the ones maybe chanting the loudest and the ones doing the violence, we recognize that you will condemn that, but we're wondering about the rest of them. Why are any white nationalists very fine people in the eyes of our president? And now you see the cycle. Donald Trump says something crazy. Right-wing media and Donald Trump twist what we reacted to. They respond to the twist, the thing we didn't actually say, and then they fact check it and call us liars. The question was and always will be, who were the very fine people?
I also considered, when it comes to Donald Trump, if he is evil, then why lie about him? Because someone who's truly evil, you just tell the truth about them. The truth says everything.
Now we're talking. Now we can find common ground, because you said, why lie about something? The truth is just going to tell you everything. In one rally speech, Donald Trump told 10 lies about Kamala Harris. First, he said Kamala Harris was going to lift the retirement age from Social Security. She's never once advocated for that. You won't find a video, a policy, anything in her past that says she wants to raise the retirement age for Social Security. He said she wants abortions in the 8th, 9th month, and even post-birth abortions.
Kamala Harris has her way. They will have a federal law for abortion to rip the baby out of the womb in the 8th, 9th month, and even after birth, execute the baby after birth.
Post-birth abortions, those don't exist. That's called murder. That's already against the law. And Kamala Harris is in favor of restoring Roe, which doesn't allow abortions in the 8th and the 9th month. He said Kamala wants to pass a law to outlaw red meat.
She wants the government to stop people from eating red meat. She wants to get rid of your cows. No more cows.
Find me a source. This might come from a 2019 debate when she expressed support of the idea that Americans should choose to eat less red meat if it's going to impact the environment. He said that Vice President Harris led a weaponized DOJ and that she was leading them to go after Donald Trump. That doesn't even make any sense. She doesn't control the DOJ, and there's no evidence anywhere that she has anything to do with the charges brought against the former president. He said she was the border czar and she never went to the border. There's no such thing as a border czar, and she did go to the border.
The border illegally. We're watching Vice President Harris right now at the border. I believe that's Senator Kelly in the baseball hat to her right.
He said that she let in 20 million illegal immigrants into this country.
As border czar, Comrade Kamala has overseen a nation-wrecking border invasion. You know, this is nation-wrecking. This isn't just like, oh, we're going to fix it a little bit later. Gets to a point where you can't fix it. She's allowed at least 20 million people, all illegal aliens, into our country, including millions and millions of unvetted fighting-age men.
One, I don't think he knows what legal and illegal is, but even if you took all the border crossings, all the encounters at the border, and added them all up, assuming that all of those people were illegally crossing, which by all accounts is a minimal percentage of those people, the total number's 10 million. So even if all of them were here illegally, he cited double and said that she just let them in. That's not true. He said that she's just allowing fentanyl to pour in and that we lost 300,000 people to fentanyl last year.
Look, they're killing 300,000 people a year. I think it's more than that. You know, they always say 100, 102.
The total amount of people who died from drug overdoses was around 107,000 people, and that's all drugs combined. He tripled the number for all drugs combined and then said Kamala is allowing this to happen. None of that's true. He said she's totally against Jewish people.
And I'll tell you this, any Jewish person that votes for her or a Democrat has to go out and have their head examined.
She's married to a Jewish American. She's never said anything that could be considered anti-Jewish. He said she failed her law exams. That's not true. He said she couldn't pass the bar.
She didn't pass her bar exam, and she didn't think she would pass it, and she didn't think she was going to ever pass it.
That's not true. How could she not pass the bar and be a practicing attorney? 10 lies in one rally, and yet people are still being red-pilled like this gentleman out of a question that was taken out of context and manipulated in a way that makes Donald Trump's answer not seem stupid. And all he really had to do was come out the next day and be like, should have chosen my words a little better. Obviously, everybody marching was a white nationalist. The people that were there protesting the tearing down of the statue, obviously they want to maintain the history of slavery and white nationalism in the South. And he could have left it at that, and he would have been fine. But because Donald Trump can't ever admit that he did something wrong, he's still lying about it. And somehow, despite the fact that every time this man opens his mouth, he lies about something, you have been red-pilled over one non-lie that he's lying about. Red pillars. If you're still here, you got to be better. You should not be this easily duped. You can't say I'm Team Trump because I'm anti-lie. That doesn't make sense. If you are Team Trump, you are pro-lie, almost exclusively lie. And if you don't know if that's true, ask yourself this. Did Donald Trump win the 2020 election? And if you're not programmed to say the exact thing that they want you to say, then why did you just answer, well, there were some irregularities?
Do you believe he lost the 2020 election?
I think that Donald Trump and I have both raised a number of issues with the 2020 election.
Senator,
Lulu.
yes or no?
Okay.
Did Donald Trump lose the 2020 election?
Let me ask you a question.
I'm going to ask you again. Did Donald Trump lose the 2020 election?
Did big technology companies censor a story? I think
Senator
that's the
Vance,
question.
I'm going to ask you again. Did Donald Trump lose the 2020
And I've answered
election?
your question with another question.
Do you just not want to say that Trump lost? Why not just say the simple,
Kristen, Joe-
if Biden is president, can you just simply say Trump lost?
Joe Biden was elected president in 2020. That's why we have.
Corey, why is this so difficult for the Trump campaign to answer? I mean, it's 2024. Did Donald Trump lose the 2020 election? Can you answer that?
Jim, I think it's very simple. The American people have passed the 2020 election.
It's not relitigating. It's just a simple question. Did Donald Trump lose the 2020 election? I mean, that's
yeah,
an
but
easy
Jim,
one.
why are we talking about 2020 anymore? Does the gas in the car,
I
home
think
heating
one
oil
reason
in
why
there?
it's coming up, Corey, is because the former president has said on the campaign trail repeatedly that there was all this widespread fraud in 2020. That was not the case. And he's also teeing up the same kinds of challenges after this election. It hasn't even happened yet.
And frankly, that's the point of this. They knew what they could do if they lost to make sure people like you kept voting for them. And they wanted to subvert democracy. They wanted to do this, but they need you. They need you to believe their lies. And if you don't believe this was planned, check out this video from Trump campaign advisor Steve Bannon.
The Democrats, more of our people vote early that count. Theirs voted mail. And so they're going to have a natural disadvantage, and Trump's going to take advantage of it. That's our strategy. He's going to declare himself a winner. So when you wake up Wednesday morning, it's going to be a firestorm. You're going to have Antifa crazy, the media crazy, the courts are crazy, and Trump's going to be sitting there mocking, tweeting shit out. You lose. I'm the winner. I'm the king. And he'll be all over. He'll be going, where's Hunter? Is Hunter on a crack pipe? I mean, no, he'll be, because then it doesn't matter. Remember, here's the thing. After that, Trump never has to go to a voter again. He's going to fire Ray, the FBI director, and fire the he's going to say, fuck you. How about that? Because he's never going to, he's done his last election. Oh, he's going to be off the chain. He's going to be crazy.
And they're going to try and do it again. On election night, Donald Trump will declare victory again. And you, hopefully, this time, won't fall for it.